All right, guys. So with the new Congress beginning, and the GOP having power, led by Kevin McCarthy, starting off with some fireworks here, okay? As Kevin McCarthy has to keep a lot of his promises that he made to the Freedom Caucus, to the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, when it came to a lot of tough talking that he did in order to become Speaker. Like, for example, he said that he was going to get revenge on the Democrats for basically removing Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committee assignment for something that she said before she was even elected, which, again, was completely unprecedented. He is now basically doubling down and promising that as House Speaker, he's going to remove Ilhan Omar, Adam Schiff, and Eric Swalwell from their committee assignments, which I 100% support. I 100% support it. At the very least, it is because, I don't think Adam Schiff, after the whole Russia collusion hoax and him pimping, peddling the Steele dossier, the Trump PP tapes, right? I don't think he should be on any intelligence committee after that. And Eric Swalwell, he's out here banging Chinese spies. Ilhan Omar, we all know the story on her, but I'm just saying, it seems like he is at least attempting to keep his promise, which is a rare thing in politics, that he made to the base of the party, that he was going to remove these Democrats from their committee assignments. Okay, so they're poised to follow through on this. Another promise that Kevin McCarthy made to the American people is to repeal the 87,000 new IRS agents and new funding that they recently got from the Democrats to tax the rich, right? Janet Yellen says, I promise you guys, 87,000 new IRS agents. We're only going to go after the rich, okay? Only the rich, okay? Nobody making less than $400,000 is going to be affected by this. Again, if you buy into this, again, I have some beachfront property in Arizona to sell you, okay? I'm just saying. But, again, despite the fact that this is clearly going to target the middle class, okay? That's where they're going to go get the money from. The mainstream liberal media, Jake Tapper, CNN, is still carrying water for the Democrats, pretending like these IRS agents are only there to, again, try to go after the rich. Take a look.
The intent of hiring all these new agents would have the effect of going after hardworking families and small businesses. That is not a Republican talking point. That comes from the Joint Committee on Taxation, which is a nonpartisan group. They've evaluated this, and they know that it will be the low-hanging fruit that the IRS will go after first, and that's the small business owners and those who are struggling to be entrepreneurs and job creators. And they're the risk takers in our economy who provide jobs for more people. They are not the ones that need scrutiny. What we want, Jake, the Republican Party wants, is an IRS that works for hardworking families, not against them. And that's what this was going to be about, and that's why we fulfilled our commitment to repeal that funding on the very first day. I'm glad we did, and I think if you poll this across the country, I think most of America agrees with us.
Well, it depends on what you're presenting in the poll. Are you saying 87,000 agents are coming at you, booga booga, or is it there's funding for IRS enforcement, 87,000 people over the course of a decade? They would be focused on going after individuals who don't pay their taxes, mainly wealthy people and corporations. I think you'd probably get two different answers.
Well, maybe, but when the Joint Committee on Taxation publishes something and presents it, it's given a lot of weight because, again, they're nonpartisan. This is not Republican talking points. This is what the evaluation and the analysis of the White House's proposal and the legislation last year, what it would actually accomplish. And so we disagree with that. We have a different agenda, and I think it's the agenda of the American people.
But I quoted the CBO, and you went after them. They're nonpartisan, too.
Listen, the CBO doesn't have a lot of credibility here right now. Their analysis is wildly inaccurate in a lot of ways, and they don't always do appropriate analysis. And I think there's going to be some reforms in that arena as well as we go forward. We have to have dynamic scoring. We have to look at reality when we give estimates on what legislation is going to cost. And the CBO doesn't do that all the time. I mean, when they come out with an estimate on Capitol Hill right now, there's lots of eye rolling, typically. And that's a problem. And that's part of the problem we have with transparency and doing the American people's business in the way it should be done. And we are working every day. We're going to continue to work to reform these processes to make Washington work for the people again. Look, this is common sense ideas that will yield transparency and accountability, and I think everybody's for that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, why not just be honest about what the bill would actually do?
I am honest.
You said 87,000 IRS agents. That's not what it is.
Jake, that is exactly what it is. That is the Treasury's own published report in 2021 that they said, as you noted, over a 10-year period, they wanted to add 86,800 and something
employees,
agents.
And not agents, employees.
Oh, Jake, you know what all those positions are going to be? Have you seen that analysis?
So you're saying every one of the 86,000 plus is going to be an IRS agent? I'm
not saying every one of them, but I'm saying a large percentage of those will be IRS employees who are deemed as agents to go after and do audits. That's a very important function of the IRS, and it's what they do. And that's not hyperbole. That's what's on paper.
Do you think that there is a problem in this country of wealthy individuals and companies not paying their fair share in taxes?
That has been a problem, of course, but we're not preventing that. The IRS has an important job to go after tax cheats, absolutely, and we support that. We're the law and order team. We want these things to be done properly, but what this provision would have had the effect of doing is making life harder for middle-class working families and small businesses. Full stop. That's what the nonpartisan analysis evaluated, and that's why we know that this was a top agenda item on the hearts and minds of the American people.
Well, why not?
That's why we delivered it.
Yeah, so imagine being so naive like Jake Tapper that you actually really believe that hiring 87,000 new IRS employees, agents, whatever you want to call them, they're doing that simply to go after the rich, right? That's what they're doing. It's just so they can go after the rich. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm buying into that, Jake, and I'm going to tell you guys why in a minute, but the reason why they say we need this is because the IRS has been gutted in recent years, and there's a $381 billion estimated tax gap that people owe to the government that's not actually being collected. And to that, I say good, right? I say good. Taxes are too damn high in this country. We should spend less, right? Spend less, tax less. I think that's what we should really be doing here. But I'm going to tell you guys what really solidified my opinion on this 87,000 new IRS employees / agents. I was listening to an accountant talk about this, and he said, look, rich people have enough money to buy the best tax lawyers, the best wealth advisors. They have the best accountants in the world, right? They have the best accountants that money can buy. If it's an experienced top accountant versus a newly trained IRS employee, who do you think is going to win, right? You can't train employees, right, quickly to go and tax the rich because the rich have the best of the best doing their accounting. So do you understand what I'm saying here, guys? Like an army of IRS employees like that just in reality, they just functionally cannot go after the rich. They don't have enough experience, right? They're going to lose, okay? And that's what he said. And I was like, yeah, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. Those new guys, guess who they can go after? They can go after the people that don't necessarily have their businesses incorporated, that don't have these accountants, that can't afford these accountants, small business owners, right? Yeah, that's who they can go after. But they can't go after the rich because, quite honestly, they don't have enough experience. Okay, I mean, you need real, legitimate, like top lawyers and accountants, people who are actually trading this stuff to actually go after the rich, right? Not 87,000 newbies. Okay, so we all know what they're using that for. But with that being said, this is just not the only thing that the GOP is doing. And before I move to this next topic, I gotta be real with you guys. That bill is probably not gonna pass the Senate, and Joe Biden's definitely not signing it. And there's not enough votes to override it, even if it did pass the Senate and Biden vetoed it. So it's not really going anywhere, but, they did it, right? They tried. They're also launching investigations into the FBI in China, okay? They are now establishing a panel that is going to focus on the rampant abuse of power in the federal government, again, namely from the FBI, basically becoming a partisan entity. And I want you guys to listen to Jim Jordan, who's going to head this committee, this panel, go off in Congress on the Democrats and how overtly partisan the FBI and these federal agencies have become. Take a look.
A ploy It's not a ploy when the Department of Justice treats parents as terrorists, moms and dads who are simply showing up at a school board meeting to advocate for their son or daughter. It's not a ploy when the FBI pays Twitter $3 million, not one, not two, $3 million to censor American citizens. It's not a ploy when the Department of Homeland Security tries to set up a disinformation governance board, because we all know that the Department of Homeland Security can tell what's good speech and what is bad speech, I mean, you got to be kidding me. I tell you what, dozens of whistleblowers who've come talk to Republican staff on the Judiciary Committee don't think this is a ploy. That's why they came to talk to us. They know how serious this is. The former Democrat chair of the Judiciary Committee is in the press today saying we're going to fight this tooth and nail. This is political. But meanwhile, the former Democrat chair of the Intelligence Committee pressured Twitter to censor a journalist. You've got to be kidding me. This is the most important. This is about the First Amendment, something you guys used to care about. And I'd actually hoped we could get bipartisan agreement on protecting the First Amendment, the 5 rights we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, right to petition the government, freedom of press, freedom of speech. Every single one's been attacked in the last 2 years. Government was telling people they couldn't go to church just a few years ago. Your right to assemble, your right to petition the government. The Democrats kept the Capitol closed. You couldn't, as a citizen, couldn't come to your Capitol that you pay for to address your member of Congress, to redress your grievances, because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let you in. Freedom of the press, I just told you what the head of the Intel Committee tried to do to a journalist. The most important right we have, though, is your right to talk. Because if you can't talk, you can't practice your faith. You can't share your faith. You can't petition your government. The right to speak is the most important, and that's what they're going after. And that's why we've had dozens of whistleblowers come talk to us. We want to focus on that because we want it all to stop. We want the double standard to stop. This idea that if you're a pro-life activist, you're going to get your door kicked in, you're going to get arrested and handcuffed in front of your 7 kids and your spouse for simply praying in front of an abortion clinic and telling the guy who was harassing your son to knock it off. You're going to have the FBI raid your home. But the protest that went on at Supreme Court justices' homes in the aftermath of the leak of the Dobbs opinion, no problem there. Americans are sick and tired of it. And what we want, we don't want to go after anyone. We just want it to stop. And we want to respect the First Amendment to the Constitution that the greatest country in the world has. That's what this committee is all about, and that's what we're going to focus on. That's what we're going to do.
So yeah, led by Jim Jordan, the Republicans are trying to establish a committee to basically investigate the FBI, okay, and their partisan practices, the corruption going on in that entity, that organization. And of course, Democrats are pushing back on it because they don't actually really believe in freedom of speech, right? They don't believe in any of that stuff, okay? They really do believe in silencing their political opponents, people that disagree with them politically. And that's why, when Jim Jordan gave that speech, I mean, it's like, bro, I understand where you're coming from, but you're expecting too much out of Democrats. You actually think they believe in the Constitution. They've shown time and time again that the first 2 amendments of the Constitution, they don't like. They don't like those amendments. Okay, that's why they actively work to undermine those amendments. But I do agree with the Republicans, what they're doing here in regards to investigating the FBI. I want to see some subpoenas, right? I want to see some people testify, but I also want to see some action, right? When Republicans eventually, hopefully, take back the House, the Senate, and the presidency, I want to see some actual action, right? I want to see some arrests, okay? That's why I really want to see them. But I get right as of right now, they don't have that much power. But we get a whole lot of investigations that tend to happen. I'm just tired of these investigations just being investigations and not getting any action here. I want to see some arrests. I want to see some people do some jail time. I want to see some people do some prison time because that's what they deserve, okay, for actively trying to undermine the rights of people in this country based off political opinions. So that being said, again, Republicans are attempting to, at the very least, make good on their promises. We'll see how far this actually goes, but they're trying to start off with a bang. There's been some fireworks, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.